Karl Rove said something about you recently, and I'd like you to respond if you don't mind. Let's listen.
National Journal put out its ratings of the most liberal to conservative Republicans. The most liberal Republican is Justin Amash of Michigan, far more liberal than any other Republican. And why? Because he is a 100% purist libertarian. And if it's not entirely perfect, I'm voting with Nancy Pelosi, which is how he ends up with all these liberal ratings. I'm voting no.
Your reaction?
Well, it's ridiculous on several fronts. First, I vote yes most of the time. I'm one of the most independent members of Congress, but I vote yes most of the time. Second, I vote least often with Nancy Pelosi of any Republican in Congress. I have the least similar voting record to Nancy Pelosi. You can look that up. That's public information.
What's going on with Rove? I mean, what's going on with Rove? I mean, there's this tension. You had Christie say y'all are dangerous. Rove comes out and says you're just a liberal in Republican clothing. Well, and so what's really at the heart of this? You forget the intricacies. What's at the heart of this tension?
Well, I think there's a new strain of republicanism. It's a libertarian side of republicanism. It's not new historically. There's always been this libertarian sort of base in the Republican Party. I think Ronald Reagan actually came out of that. But there's this tension between the Bush Republicans of the last 10 or 20 years and the newer Republicans who are getting elected.
And so Rove is just seeing a rising tide of new leaders, and he and Christie want to stomp down on y'all.
He doesn't like Rand Paul. He doesn't like Ted Cruz. He doesn't like me, and I think that's pretty obvious. Let me also explain how he misleads. There's the liberal label he's getting is from this National Journal ranking, where they rate you as more liberal if you vote less often with leadership. So those who vote least often with leadership are ranked the most liberal in the Republican Party. The ones who are ranked most conservative are actually probably the most liberal Republicans. And the ones who are most conservative are ranked the most liberal.
No, I understand what you're saying.
It's backward.
I get it. Before we go, we have almost no time. You called Snowden a whistleblower and not a traitor. You do know that the Whistleblower Protection Act does not apply to people who work for the NSA or the CIA or any intelligence services, right? You do know that.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So why are you calling him a whistleblower? That just seems a little bit sloppy.
Well, no, the issue is not whether it's technically the term whistleblower. The issue is whether he's more like a whistleblower or a traitor.
No, he's a whistleblower. He would have gone up to you, Justin. If he was a whistleblower, he would have gone to you. He wouldn't have run to Hong Kong and to our adversary, Russia.
Laura, as you know, he can't go to me under the Whistleblower Protection Act. So he can't go to a member of Congress like me. He has to take certain channels. So nobody's saying he didn't break the law. The issue is whether he's more like a whistleblower or a traitor. And there's a specific term, definition of traitor in the Constitution. He doesn't.
Well, then there's a definition of whistleblower. I'm playing around with you here, but there's a definition for both, right? I mean, he goes hanging out with Putin. That's not really a friend of the United States. I mean, I'm kind of glad we have this information, but he did some damage, and we have some information. So there are two things going on. He did damage, and we have some information, which is kind of a good thing.
If he did something damaging to the United States, if he gave up people in the field, that's a different story altogether.